Midland 8865, climbing flight level 310.
Midland 8865 London, good afternoon. Climb flight level 330.
Climb flight level 330, Midland 8865. Master cruiser, please, available.
Roger.
Hello again everyone, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, after last week taking a look at the Flight Sim Studios Embraer E175, I thought we'd continue on with the theme of regional jets, revisiting the excellent Just Flight 146 Professional. As far as our flight today goes, we are currently on the ground at UK 2000's Jersey Airport. We've just dropped off a load of passengers here on the islands for their summer holidays, and we're now looking to reposition back towards East Midlands. We've got 71 passengers on board, as well as a small amount of freight. It's a nice afternoon here on the ground in Jersey. The conditions are much the same back up in East Midlands. We're holding Manchester as our alternate. Again, the weather is absolutely fine there, so certainly a nice day for our flight. All up, we've loaded 4.5 tonnes of fuel on board the aircraft. That's going to give us a takeoff weight of around 36.7 tonnes. It's going to be a nice quick sector for us home as well, cruising our way back at flight level 280. From blocks off to blocks on should be around an hour. As you can see, I've had another very nice custom British Midland livery made up for the aircraft. For those who are interested, that's available over on my flightsim.to page. I'll leave a link down in the video description below. And a very big thank you to Operator for all of his hard work on the jet. This particular paint scheme is actually based on a real-world aircraft. British Midland did briefly operate the BAE 146 on loan from Manx Airlines. I'm certainly very much looking forward to getting back into the 146. It's one of the more challenging jets I find to operate within the sim. It is also worth noting that at the time of recording I was not using the most up-to-date version of the aircraft, so you may notice some differences between what you see here in the video and the most up-to-date version of the product. Nevertheless, I do hope you enjoy the flight. As always, if you do, please consider giving the video a like and subscribing to the channel. We've already completed our turnaround here in Jersey, so we are more or less ready for the push. So let's head for the cockpit and we'll get our flight underway. So, very good afternoon to you all, and welcome once again to the cockpit of the Just Flight 146 Professional. Back for another British Midland service here on the channel, and I have to say it's nice to be back in the 146. It's been some time since I've had the opportunity to fly the aircraft. Great to see as well, there's been a whole host of changes since the aircraft released, although of course it released in a very nice state initially. Anyway, everyone's on board the aircraft. We've already completed our cockpit preparation. We'll just brief the departure and then we'll dive straight into the before start checks. So we've been cleared for the BENX 3 Bravo departure out of Jersey off runway 08. Let's plate 10-3 Alpha, it's a conventional SID. Tracking off runway heading initially outbound towards the Jersey VOR, and then 050 radial outbound thereafter towards waypoint Ketic. There's an altitude restriction at Ketic, 5,000 feet. After Ketic, tracking out towards waypoint BENX. No climb above 5,000 until instructed by air traffic, and no turns below 900 feet. Transition altitude is 5,000, so we'll maintain the QNH until we're cleared higher, although as it just so happens today, the QNH is 1013. So a fairly straightforward departure. We've tuned up the Jersey VOR there on nav 1. Just as a backup, planning to fly the departure in RNAV. We've also got the 050 radial pre-selected. And same for the altitude, we've got 5,000 set. That's armed up ahead of time, and same for LNAV there on the autopilot. Not much terrain to speak of, the MSA 1900 feet. Weather-wise, it's a pretty nice afternoon. There is just a little bit of weather out to the south, but nothing looking too sinister there. And temperature, it's just below 20 degrees, so there shouldn't be any icing, at least during the initial stages of the climb. In terms of our taxi, planning to push back here to the southerly end of the apron. We'll join left onto Juliet, and then we'll take Juliet out towards Bravo. On Bravo, we'll hold short runway 08 till we're ready for the departure. So that's our briefing complete, running through the before start checks. Part brake is set, yellow hydraulics look good. Hydraulics panel is set, fuel panel. We have all 4 fuel pumps on, and 4.5 tonnes on the aircraft versus 4.4 tonnes on the flight plan. Lights and notices are set, air conditioning. Got the packs off, APU air is off. Thrust levers are in the fuel off position. Altimeters are set. We have QNH 1013 on all 3 altimeters. AC power is set. TMS N1 and V speeds. So TMS we have set to takeoff. 18 degrees, that's giving us an N1 of 93%, and we've got that bugged on all 4 engines. The takeoff data, it's a 37-ton aircraft we've calculated the speeds for. Fairly short runway out of Jersey as well, so it's going to be a flaps 24 takeoff. That's giving us a VR of 115, V2 of 121, and we set that there on the airspeed indicator bugs. Trims are set, and that's the before start checklist complete. So Tug just moving into position, we'll take the park brake off ahead of time, since he's going to push regardless in the sim. Running through the start checks, the beacon is on, packs and APU air are off, engine anti-ice is off, same for the brake fans, and same for the AC hydraulic pump. Fuel pumps are on, start panel we can set, starting the number 4 first, start master can go on, and the transponder go to TRA and above for the climb. That's the start checklist complete. So the Tug has just commenced the push, we'll begin our engine start, starting the number 4. We do have rotation, and just waiting to up through 20%. Then we'll introduce fuel into the engine. So looking good. Fuel on the number 4. There's our light off. As ever, we'll just keep a little bit of an eye here on the pushback as well. We want to stop with the nose just behind the main taxiway line.
London, good afternoon, Expo 7066, video climbing 310, radar heading 165.
So that looks good in terms of our pushback position. We'll release the Tug. And the park brake can go on again. Again, just confirming we do have hydraulic pressure. Looks like number 4 is stable, so we'll start number 3. And the Tug just clearing there, so we'll assume we've had our pin dumbing away from the ground crew. And just wait until the Tug's clear there behind the white line. Again, we have our 20%, so the fuel can go on the number 3. And the Tug is clear. Good light off on the number 3. So just monitoring that TGT as it comes up.
Expo 7066, under control, good day. Climb flight level 370.
Level 370, Expo 7066.
All pressure warning lights out. And number 3 is stable, starting number 2.
Delta 155, contact London 127.87, goodbye.
Delta 15527.87, bye.
There's our 20%. And fuel on. There's our light off. So we're nearly 3 down here, 1 to go. And again, there goes the all pressure warning light. And number 2 is stable, so finally starting the number 1.
Ocean 2364, contact master control channel 132.755.
Master 132.755, thank you, bye-bye.
And fuel on for the number 1. A little bit tricky to get some of those click spots. Anyway, light off on the number 1.
London, hello, this is 842, flight level 340 now.
British 842, London control, good afternoon to you. Have the best and the routing is Brookman's Park, Trent, Dane 1 Bravo arrival, Manchester.
Brookman's Park, Trent, Dane 1 Bravo,
Get there on the oil pressure. So we have 4 good starts running through the after start checks. Start panel, the start selector can go off, start master can go off, engine anti-ice will leave off, generators, there's the number 1 and the number 4. External AC is off, brake fans are off, hydraulics, get the engine 2 pump on, same for the engine 3 pump. 3000 psi there on the number 2, just waiting on the number 3. So hydraulics are set and checked, heaters are on, speeds and M1 bugs are set, APU air can stay off, engine air is on, and the packs are on. The after start check is complete. We have been cleared for the taxi, it's all clear on the right, and same here on the left, so taxi lights can go on. Same for the runway exit lights. We'll set flaps 24, and we'll just wait for those to run out here as we make the taxi, so park brake off. As I say, joining left here onto the main taxiway, that'll take us out towards Bravo. You can actually see Bravo there off tar 10 o'clock. And we'll just hold the before takeoff checks until we're actually clear of the apron here, out on the main taxiway itself.
PC 7067, front bubble 390.
Looks like we've got an RAF C-130 there on the left, not quite sure what he's doing here, but it's nice to see. Nice piece of scenery as always from UK 2000. I picked it up during the sales, but I used to own a lot of their scenery back in the FSX and P3D days. They actually used to offer up packages that covered the entirety of the UK in terms of airports, which was really great. I'm hoping they'll bring something similar to Microsoft Flight Simulator at some point. But either way, it's really great to see their scenery in the sim. So we're actually going to have a slight tailwind here off runway 08, but that's as per the sim brief assignment. It should only be a couple of knots according to the real world weather.
7067, we'd like 37 for the cruise if it's available, please.
So running through the before takeoff checks, flaps, we have flaps 24 selected and indicated, flight instruments are checked, trims are set, carry out a takeoff config test, and that checks, continuous ignition can go on. Flight controls, we have full up, full down, and neutral, full left, full right, and neutral. We'll assume we've been cleared to line up, so landing lights can go on, as can the strobes. It's all clear on final, and clear for the takeoff runway 08. Again, it's a pretty short runway here in Jersey, so we'll hold the aircraft on the brakes as we come up on the engines and let them stabilise. And as I say, we are going to have just a couple of knots of tailwind here, but I run the numbers there and we'll be fine in terms of takeoff performance. It's very frustrating though that the real world weather in the sim often tends to still disagree with the actual real world weather. Anyway, nicely lined up. Set 40% N1. And we're stable. Take off. Checked. And checked. Going back on the yoke. And pitching for 15 degrees. We do have a positive rate, the gear can come up. I have to say the 146 is feeling much smoother on the controls than I remember it being when I reviewed the aircraft, so that's really nice. Following the lateral guidance there on the flight directors, just disregarding the vertical guidance for now. Just wait until we're up through 1,000 feet, we'll get the autopilot in. There's 1,000 feet. So yaw damper on, autopilot on. Already got LNAV pre-selected, just waiting until we're up through 1,500 feet. So we'll come into IS hold. We'll go to sync on the thrust. Okay, speed is good. We'll go flaps 18. Just gone into vertical speed here, maintaining 1,000 feet permanent rate of climb until we get the speed up through 250 knots. And showing about 3 miles now to run towards the Jersey VOR. Okay, speed is checked. And flaps up. Just coming down through 10 degrees there on the outside air temperature, obviously a bit of weather up ahead. So we'll get the engine anti-ice on. Ignition can go off. And the runway turn-off lights can go off as well. Give me a good eye there on that airspeed. We'll get ready to go into IS hold. And there's IAS. Again, we do have the out arm just coming over the Jersey VOR. So we'll centre up that heading bug. And we'll quickly be coming up here on 1 to go. So there's 1 to go. We've got 8 miles to run towards waypoint Ketik. And we'll just start coming back off the thrust now. The aircraft starting to level us off. Just went to a level before we run through the after takeoff checks.
Easy 706-7, roger, climb level 370.
Climb level 370, EG7067.
And again, maintaining 5,000 feet till we're through waypoint Ketik, which won't take long. We've only got 6 miles to run.
Expo 7066, stop climb initially, flight level 360.
Flight level 360, Expo 7066.
Thank you.
So just nudging our way up towards 5,000 feet. Just keeping a really good eye on the aircraft here. It's very easy not to capture your altitude in the 146 if you're not entirely diligent. There's out on the FMA. Coming back off the thrust levers there, maintaining 250 knots. And the after takeoff checks, gear is up, lights are out, flaps indicating 0. TMS is set to sync for the time being. We'll go into TGT later on. Engine air is on, APU air is off, packs are on, APU can come off, and continuous ignition is off, so that's the after takeoff checklist complete. So just running in the tops of the clouds currently. Again, doesn't seem to be too much in the weather here, we're not getting bumped around, but we've got the engine anti-ice on and we'll leave the passenger signs on for the time being. Just a caution there for the APU as it runs down, we can disregard that. And coming now over waypoint Ketik. So we'll come back into IS hold, climb ourselves now up to flight level 110. And we can arm that up. Coming back up on the thrust.
Continental 85, level 360.
Continental 85, London Control, good day. Routing is Brookman's Park and then Rodol.
And thrust is set. That's giving us a pretty cracking rate of climb here, doing nearly 4,000 feet per minute rate of climb. Maintaining, of course, 250 knots for now. And up through transition, we've got QNH 1013 set on all three altimeters. The climb checks then, the altimeters are set, PTU is off, pressurization is checked, lights, we'll just leave the landing lights on till we're up through 10,000 feet. And up through the worst of the weather now, so we'll cycle the signs. Engine anti-ice can come off. Up through 8,000, so another 2,000 feet we can start accelerating. And showing another 40 miles here to run towards waypoint Bebix. Just keeping an eye on that TGT. 820 is our reference temperature for later on. So as soon as we see 820 here on the engine TGTs, we're going to TGT on the TMS. And there's 10,000 feet, so landing lights off. That's one to go. Clear ourselves straight up now to cruising flight level, so flight level 280. And still in IAS, we can arm up the alt again. We'll stay in vertical speed for the time being, and we'll accelerate now up to 280 knots for our climb speed.
Roger, BP, PK, and then after that was where?
Rodol, Romeo, Oscar, Delta, Oscar, Lima.
Roger, Rodol, after BPK, Continental 85.
Just wait until we see that index hit 280, and then we'll come back into IS hold. And there's 280 knots, so IS hold, which we now have on the FMA. And again, we do have alt capture there on the FMA as well. 5 miles to run to Bebix. After Bebix, it's going to be waypoint Akiki. And we'll just come down to the progress page. We've got 265 miles to run towards East Midlands, about a 50-minute sector. Currently showing we're going to be arriving with about 1.7 tons. In terms of our flight plan, we need 1.5 tons for the diversion. Manchester's our alternate today. So that's only giving us 200 kilos extra, but I suspect that figure's going to change quite a bit as we make our way over en route. $200 kilos only equates to around 5 to 10 minutes worth of holding fuel, which is a little bit less than I planned for. Planned for 20 minutes of holding, plus of course the standard 30-minute reserve. Anyway, nicely up above the weather, the cabin crew have had a chance to get up as well, so seatbelt signs can go off.
British 627, low navigation to Seaford.
And navigation Seaford, British 627.
Condor 118, question Condor 188, route rate comps.
Comp, Condor 188.
And we'll just continue here up in the climb, as I say, cruising at flight level 240. I'm pretty keen once again to show off the very nice British Midland livery that's been created by Operator, so we'll head outside the aircraft, enjoy the views en route. Obviously going to be a fairly quick sector for us today. As usual, you can join me again on the flight deck as we get ready to commence our approach in towards East Midlands. So welcome back to the flight deck. We're just coming over waypoint Hemel, which is the start of the arrival. Air traffic control's actually kept us pretty high here. We're still up at flight level 280 and showing about 74 miles to run. They've just cleared us down now though to flight level 80, so we'll set that. So we have 8,000 set, we can arm that up, come into IS hold. And with us being pretty high here, we'll come all the way back to idle thrust. We'll go into descent on the TMS.
London, hello, good afternoon, Jersey 3006 with you. Direct to begin at 290 knots.
Jersey 006, ready to continue, place the heading, report the heading.
So all the way back on the thrust levers, we'll just run through the descent checklist and then we'll brief up the approach. So for the descent checks, PTU is on, pressurization is checked, landing flap, so 36 tons for the landing, and it's going to be a flaps 30 landing. That's a VREF of 122 knots. We've already got that set there on the airspeed indicator bug. TMS is set to descent, and that's the descent checklist complete. So shortly coming up on flight level 250, that means we need 100 miles to run. Only showing 66 miles at the moment, so we are pretty tight here in terms of altitude. That being said, this distance is slightly under reading. That has us going direct to the East Midlands West NDB and then tracking directly to the centre fix. That's not what we're actually going to be doing here. We're going to be turning off from waypoint Velag and vectoring ourselves around for a right-hand downwind onto the ILS runway 09. So for the arrival, we were cleared initially for the Hemel 1 Echo arrival onto the ILS 09. That's plate 10-2 Bravo. It's an RNAV SID. That brings us in from Hemel and then actually back ultimately out towards the south of the field, out towards waypoint Pigot, as per our flight plan. But we've actually been cleared, as I said, by air traffic. Direct to Velag for now, and then we're going to be peeling off from Velag into that right-hand downwind that I just mentioned. Expecting the ILS runway 09, that is plate 11-1. Frequency is 109.35. We've already got that tuned up on nav 1. Final approach course is 088, and we've got that set. Aerodrome elevation is 306 feet. That takes us down to an MDA of 506, and that's a decision height of 200 feet, which we have pre-selected. Expecting to join onto the ILS from 2,000 feet out to the west. Missed approach, should we need it, climb straight ahead to 3,000 feet or 4.6 DME, whichever is earlier. Then left turn back towards the NDB to take up the hold at 3,000. A couple of notes on the approach. The ILS DME reads 0 at runway 09 threshold, which is fine for us. And max 210 knots for any procedural turns, which again we're not going to be flying today. Just coming up on flight level 200. We've already got the seatbelt signs on. And flight level 200, so we need 80 miles to run, currently showing 50. Still got a nice high descent rate here currently, and we do have a few extra track miles to run versus what's in the box. So we should be okay without the speed brake for now. In terms of the terrain, there's a little bit of high terrain out to the northwest of East Midlands. Sector MSA outside of that, 2,500 feet. High sector MSA, 2,700 feet. Weather-wise, it's actually much the same as it was coming out of Jersey. There is some cloud around, obviously. Tops of the clouds there should be 2,000 to 3,000 feet. Temperature on the ground is around 15 degrees. QNH is actually 1013 again, so no need to worry about the transition level there. And in terms of the landing 09, vacating off to the right. Planning to come off at Whiskey and then taxiing in for the central apron. We might take the eastern apron, we'll see how we go there. In the 146, it's obviously manual spoilers, manual braking, no reverse thrust. Fuel state, as we discussed coming out of Jersey, the fuel state's changed quite a bit here. En route, we've now got 2.7 tonnes we're estimating for the arrival. That looks pretty reasonable. We've got about 3 tonnes on board the aircraft currently. We need 1.5 tonnes for the diversion over to Manchester. So that's giving us about an extra 1.2 tonnes, which is basically an extra 40 minutes or so. So plenty of fuel up our sleeves. We've got 2 runways at the alternate, nice weather at destination. Planning on sticking, of course, with East Midlands for now. So that just about wraps up the brief, coming now through flight level 150. and showing 30 miles to run towards waypoint Velag. As I say, from Velag we'll peel off to the left. 150 and showing 40 miles to run. So still about 20 miles shy of what we need, but again, this distance is slightly under reading. Staying slightly fast there on the speed, but of course the aircraft doesn't actually fly the bug, it's just flying the speed that we set there in IS hold. So we'll just maintain the speed as is for now. And obviously we want to get ourselves back to 250 knots coming through 10,000, so we'll plan to do that coming through about flight level 110. Going to be coming back into the cloud layer again soon. OAT about -9 degrees currently, so we'll take the engine anti-ice on.
British 627, contact London 135.32, goodbye.
3532, British 627.
And you can see the idle thrust coming up there slightly to meet the engine anti-ice demand. Looks like we're picking up the ILS DME there now, so 20 miles to run direct to the field, but again, we're obviously not going to be flying direct to East Midlands. We'll peel off though to the left, as I say, for our downwind.
London, good afternoon, baby 30 kilo 260 to Bighorn, speed 280 or less.
Go for a heading of around 300 for now. And we're coming to heading. There's 11,000, so we're coming to vertical speed. And we'll hit sync on the autopilot. Reduce our descent rate here. Back to around 500 feet per minute. We'll set our speed bug at 250 knots. And now that we're in heading, we can come back into conventional navigation. The ILS there not currently reading in the correct sense. The localizer of course out to our right. East Midlands should be somewhere off at our 1 o'clock. Obviously we can't see that at the moment with the current cloud layer. So speed is slowly rolling back, looks like we'll be pretty much coming up on 250 knots as we come through 10,000 feet. Just keeping an eye on that speed bug. As soon as the speed bug hits the index there, we'll come back into IS hold and continue our descent. Coming up on 10,000, so we'll cycle the seatbelt signs. And the landing lights can go on a little bit early.
30 Roger, we'd like to increase speed.
Oh yes please.
Or Roger, turn right 5 degrees, there's no ATC speed restriction.
Right 5, that'll be about 320.
Roger.
There's 250 knots, so we'll come back into IS hold.
MD Alitalia 236, level 380 to Alitalia.
Alitalia 236, London Control, good afternoon. Fly heading 330 degrees, vectors for Bighorn 3 Bravo arrival Heathrow.
We've actually got the East Midlands West NDB tuned up as well. That's on a frequency of 393. We've got that there just in case we need it. Doesn't look as though we're actually picking it up at the moment, but it's there as a reference later on potentially. We shouldn't need it today anyway, we're just vectoring ourselves in. We've now got the ILS reading in the correct sense there. 9,000 feet and showing 30 miles to run to the field. We need 27 miles at 9,000 feet, so we'll continue to track away from the field for now. And we'll just maintain 250 knots here until we're actually turning inbound towards the field again. In terms of our approach checks, altimeters are set, there's one to go, fasten seatbelt signs are on, steep approach not required, APU not required, so the approach check is complete. So 3-1 to go, we'll continue the descent here though down to 3,000. That'll keep us above the MSA, we can maintain 3,000 until we're on the localizer. So 3,000 set and out armed. And coming up on 8,000 feet. That means we need 24 miles to run.
CB 60 November, London Control, good afternoon. Fly heading 320 degrees, vectors towards Bighorn and Hemel, East Midlands 1 till late arrival.
Left on to heading of 320, Bighorn, Hemel, and stern arrival East Midlands, CB 60 November.
And in terms of our flight plan distance there now, showing 23 miles, so definitely coming back towards profile, but we're going to primarily here rely on the ILS DME now. We haven't actually flown over Echo Mike Whiskey yet, so the distance of anything is going to be counting up there on the flight plan.
Lufthansa 2 Mike Papa, contact Brussels 131.1, goodbye.
Lufthansa 2 Mike Papa, 131.1, bye-bye.
Should have Birmingham somewhere off the left wing. Again, unfortunately not going to be able to see much of that today with the current conditions. And coming up on 7,000 feet. That DME obviously not increasing there very quickly. We're not really tracking straight away from the field. We're on a little bit of a tangent here currently.
Atlanta 14 Papa, route now direct to Zetling, and then Compton, climb flight level 180.
Direct Zetling, then Compton, flight level 180.
And about 1,000 feet per minute now rate of descent, so we're not getting a particularly great rate of descent here out of the aircraft. We need about 1,300 feet to maintain a 3-degree profile. We'll take a little bit of speed brake just to get the aircraft coming down, and that way we can get turned back towards East Midlands a little bit earlier as well.
Gas 211, resume on navigation direct to Cockpit.
To Fox and maintain 230, yeah, 211.
Okay, so 6,000 feet, 30 miles to run. We need 18 miles at 6,000, but we can start turning in now towards East Midlands, or at least turning out to the north, heading back towards the Loke.
London, good afternoon, Britannia 601 Bravo, level 350 to Cuba.
Britannia 601 Bravo, London Control, good afternoon. Continuing your present heading until advised after the vectors, number 2 Bravo, Ravel, Gatwick.
And coming up from 5,000, seatbelt signs are on. We'll advise the cabin crew.
Maintain heading until advised, Britannia 601 Bravo, and then tip 2 Bravo.
And again, we'll come back into vertical speed for a moment. We'll just start reducing our speed here as we head back towards the field. So we'll get ourselves back down to 180 knots to turn inbound.
Britannia 601 Bravo is standing by descent.
Britannia 601 Bravo, roger, descend, flight level 150, level of beam back.
And we'll start coming now onto our intercept heading as well, back towards the RLS. So RLS is sensing correctly, showing just below the glide slope currently.
Descent level 150, level of beam back hill, Britannia 601 Bravo.
Speed coming back nicely.
Italia 226, ready for descent.
Alitalia 236, descend, flight level 360.
360, Italia 236.
There goes the Loke. So we can arm up the DOR Loke and the glide slope. We have localized capture. I'm not quite visual with the field there. We've still got a bit of cloud between us and East Midlands. Just take a bit more speed brake here just to help that speed roll off. And we'll go full speed brake. Speed doesn't want to come back very quickly. We need to start thinking about configuring. Bring our speed bug all the way back to 160 knots now. Okay, there's flaps 18. And 8 miles, we'll take the gear down. We'll get rid of the speed brake. Still back at idle thrust currently. There's 3 greens.
2500.
Runway exit lights can go on. And the igniters can go on. It's coming up on 160. We'll set VREF. Now we'll take another stage of flap. So flaps 24. Again, going to be a flaps 30 landing.
Atlanta 14 Papa, just confirm routing direct to Zetling, Delta Echo Tango.
Delta Echo Tango, we are proceeding on our right turn now and we are showing us 30 miles.
Roger.
And we'll go flaps 30. And just starting to come off again on the thrust now. We've got quite a bit of drag. Speed still inching back towards VREF. Running through the landing checks then. Gear is down 3 greens. Brakes are checked. Flaps 30 indicated. Airframe anti-ice and de-ice. The engine anti-ice can go off now. Okay, it's going to be a flaps 30 landing, so we'll disregard that. Landing lights are on, ignition is on. That's the landing check is complete. Visual now with the runway. And just coming up on VREF, so feeding in some thrust. We can get on the glide slope. We've got 2 reds, 2 whites there on the PAPI. And just coming up on 1,000 feet, we are stable.
1,000.
Let's check again, we are stable. Slightly gusty here actually as we come down final approach. Just coming over Donington racetrack. So come over final approach for 09. Disconnect the autopilot. That's checked.
Freebird 952 Mike, resume all navigation direct to Coxie and climb flight level 290.
Direct Coxie, climb flight level 290, Speedbird 952 Mike.
Plus 100.
I'd say the aircraft is definitely nicer to hand fly than it was when I first reviewed it. It's getting a touch high here, so correcting for that.
Minimums.
We'll continue. Slightly long landing. Let's touch down. Spoilers are up. Aircraft actually wanting to lift off again there. Onto the brakes. And that's Sierra, so we'll continue down to vacate off on the right as we sit at Whiskey. So braking a little bit more firmly now. And taking the next right. And onto the main taxiway. As I say, we'll taxi down to the central apron. Flaps can come up.
November 1 Sierra November, contact London 133.6. Good day.
Lights can go to taxi. Strobe lights can come off.
133.6, 81 Sierra November. Good day.
They're running through the off landing checks. Spoilers are down. Flaps are selected up, just waiting for those to roll back to 0. Lights are set as required. Transponder will leave. Engine anti-ice is off. Continuous ignition can go off. Generators will leave on. And we'll leave all 4 engines here running for the taxi back towards the apron. So we have flap 0. And just coming past taxiway uniform at the moment on the easterly apron. So the next left after that will be Tango to take us in towards the main apron. We'll probably come in via Romeo though, so that's the second left. Two cracking great windmills here at East Midlands as well. Don't know if any of you saw my ride out in the Spitfire a little while ago at Carnarvon, but it was the same there. Interesting to put windmills on airfields, I would have thought, but there you go. So taking the next left in towards the main apron.
Good afternoon, Top Swiss 907, flight level 380.
Top Swiss 907, under control, good afternoon. Laurel to Quebec arrival, listen.
Laurel to Quebec arrival for Luton 907.
As usual, we'll try and find somewhere for ourselves to park up. Looking a little bit busy in that direction. Looks like we've got stand 7 here off on our left, so we'll take that.
Britannia 632 Alpha, contact London 135.32, good day.
3532, Britannia 632 Alpha, goodbye.
Let's get the aircraft slowed down. Taxi lights can go off. And same for the runway turn off lights. Onto the brakes. Park brake is on. And running through our shutdown checks then. The brakes are set to park. Pressure looks good. Lights are off. Pressurization is checked. Hydraulics are off. Generator 1 and 4. Just get the APU fired up ahead of time there. So APU gen is on.
British 842, contact London 127.87, good day.
Ideally here we should have got the APU running before we came into the apron.
12787, British 842, bye bye.
Still a really good fun flight out in the aircraft. It's nice to get back into the 146 as I mentioned. Pretty happy with the approach there overall. We did get a little bit high there on short final, but we corrected. We landed a touch long, but it was a nice smooth touchdown.
Yes, at 483 Charlie, resume your own navigation, Coxie.
Own nav to Coxie, Jet set 483 Charlie, thank you.
Okay, so the APU is available. And the output looks good, so hydraulics are off, generators are off. Thrust levers. We have fuel off on all 4 engines. Fasten seatbelt signs can go off. Same for the beacon. And for the transponder. APU air can go on. We'll leave the packs on for now, keep everything nice and cool down the back. So fuel pumps are off. We'll just leave the left ender there for the APU. Engine anti-ice is off, beacon is off, transponder is set, and that's the shutdown checklist complete. So there you go guys, I do hope you enjoyed another outing in the Just Flight 146 Professional. As I mentioned at the start of the flight, it's been great to see just how much the 146 has developed over the course of its life cycle. Obviously even more so now than is showcased here in the video. For my money, the 146 Professional, still one of the best jets out there in terms of fun factor, and certainly one of the best regional jets available in the sim. Again, very enjoyable to fly, as well as the unusual automation making the jet a really nice challenge. I really enjoyed the outing there, and once again, I certainly hope that you did as well. As always, if you did, please consider giving the video a like. If you want to see more content from the channel, then please consider subscribing as well. Thank you once again to Woperator for his hard work on the livery. Again, you can find the livery available over on flightsim.to. I'll leave a link down in the video description. And a huge thank you, as always, to my channel members and patrons for all of your support. It is very much appreciated. I do hope that all of you are having a great day wherever you are. Take really good care, and I will see you all again soon.